Good day to you all. I want to share two stories with you from my culture. First one is about a rat and a bat who were best friends. But what was interesting about the bat was that he made the most tasty soup that you could ever eat. The rat one day asked the bat, "How do you make such a tasty soup?" And the bat said, "What I do is I boil the water. And after the water is at a boil, I hop inside of the bowl. Therefore, you taste me within the soup. That is all that you must do yourself, and you shall have the best soup." At that moment, the bat put himself into the bowl, came out of the bowl, and then happened to feed to the rat a bowl of the soup that he had already prepared earlier in the day. The rat ate the soup, and it was the tastiest soup he had ever had in his life. He rushed home, the rat did, to his wife and said, "I am going to cook you the best soup you have ever had." He says, "Will you boil water for me in a bowl?" The wife did so. As the water came to a boil, the rat took a moment, jumped in to the bowl, and he died. Of course he did. Now, the rat's wife was very angry at what the bat had done to him. She went to the king and said, "I want justice for my husband." And the king said, "I shall take up this bat, and you shall have your justice." But just as the king and his men made their way to the bat flew away into the sky. The king's men continued to chase the bat, but they were never able to catch him. And even to this day, the bat has changed his habits in order to never be caught by the king and his men, which is why the bat travels at night. What is the meaning of this story? Be careful of the advice that you take. Free advice is worth the price. My second tale is a bit scarier for you young ones. It is called A Father's Warning. It is about a man who is a hunter and his son who go out on horseback, usually to hunt. But at their compound, while they are hunting, all of the animals are tied up. All of the horses and the goats and the dogs. The only animals that are not tied up are the horses with which the hunter and his son are using to hunt. And one day they are out in the forest hunting, and they come to a clearing, and they see a cauldron, and at that cauldron is a woman. But this woman, on her body, it is covered with mouths. And these mouths are asking for food from the woman. And the woman is taking pieces of food from the cauldron and feeding each of the mouths. But as she feeds one mouth, all of the others are complaining. "Feed us! Feed us! We need food! Feed us!" The hunter's son could take this sight no longer and said, "What a horrible sight!" And the woman turned, looked at them, and she gave chase. They hopped onto their horses and they rode away. At that moment, the woman with her body covered in mouths changed herself into a fast-flying bird and made her way to the men, who then also changed themselves into fast-flying birds. And they were able to get away from the woman. She thought, "What am I going to do?" Then she had an idea. She transformed herself into a beautiful woman, the most beautiful woman in all of that country. And she made her way to the village of the man who was the hunter and his son, with a basket on her head. She went to the center of town, called all of the men of the town to make their way. She puts the basket on the ground and she says, begin to throw stones at this basket. Whichever one of you knocks the basket over, I will marry you. The men are all picking up large rocks and they're throwing it at the basket, but the basket does not fall over. The hunter and his son, of course, are watching this, and the son wants to try to knock over the basket, for she is the most beautiful woman in all of the country. And as he picks up a rock, his father stops him and says, do not do this. There is some mischievous evil here. I am not sure what it is, but this is not something that you want to do. The son did not listen. Instead, he took his tiny rock, threw it at the basket, and wouldn't you know it, the basket fell right over. So the hunter's son and the woman were then married. At some point, she asks him if they may make a journey back to her village, and the son agrees. Before they leave, the son tells the women of the village, of his compound, make sure that all of the animals are tied up, please. However, the dogs here, if they whine or they cry, you can untie them. But short of that, keep them tied up. And the son and the woman made their way to her village. They got there very late at night, and they went to sleep. The son was suddenly awoken in the middle of the night by a leg coming up from under the bed. And the leg spoke to him, saying, run, run while you can and save your life. The man did not wait. He immediately ran to his horse, jumped onto his horse, and made his way. The woman saw him leaving and said, no, wait, you cannot leave. She saw her chance leaving her, and at that moment, she gave chase to the man and his horse, changing herself back into her original form of a woman with her body covered with mouths. And as she made her way to the man and his horse, she took one of the horse's legs and ate it, and the horse continued to run. She ate the second foot of the horse. The horse continued to run, even with two legs. Eventually, she ate the third leg, the fourth leg, the body of the horse, and the man could no longer run away. They were in the forest. He found a tree. He climbs the tree. The woman is at the bottom of the tree, all of her mouths yelling at the man, when you make your way down, we shall be fed. We shall have the greatest meal we have ever had. At that moment, at the compound of the hunter and his son, the dogs began to whine. They began to cry. And the women of the compound remember what the son had said. If they whine and they cry, you may untie them. And they untied the dogs. And the dogs made their way to the tree that the man had climbed. And the woman, with all of her mouths, did not expect these dogs, but these dogs, with all of their mouths, ate the woman. The man was safe. He made his way down the tree, made his way back to the compound, found his father, and said, you were right. I should have listened to you in the first place. So what does the story teach you, young ones? Your parents have lived their lives. They have experiences. Listen to them, because you never know when those experiences may keep you safe from the world around you. Good day.